6 deadliest prehistoric snakes. It seems like everything was a little bigger and meaner way back in the day. From cats, dogs, bears, and even sloths, prehistory was teeming with mega versions of animals we know today. The same trend is true in the serpentine kingdom, with some of the biggest and baddest snakes of all time now turned to fossils. Today's video counts down a few of the scariest monsters to ever slither on the face of the earth. Welcome to the 6 deadliest prehistoric snakes. Let's get started. Laus. Kicking things off with a prehistoric snake that lived about 4 million years ago. Laus crotalloides was a large snake that dwelled in the land we call Greece today. This snake, or at least its remains, was first discovered in 1857 and was described by British paleontologist Sir Richard Owen as the largest viper ever. As such, it is in the Viperidae family under the Serpentes suborder. Crotalloides is the sole species in the genus. Like any other viper, Laus had hollow retractable fangs made for injecting venom stored in a gland. It likely had hemotoxin, which causes extreme blood clotting in victims. Unfortunately, the 19th century find went missing sometime after Owen's claims, and no subsequent fossils were found to verify the existence of this new species. Laus' status as a real snake hung in the balance until it almost slipped into obscurity. However, paleontologists working near Thessaloniki, Greece, found a sole vertebra in 2014 that was consistent with what Owens had documented nearly 157 years earlier. Laus had been rediscovered. It turns out that not only is Laus the largest viper genus ever, but it is a contender for the biggest venomous serpent of all time. Well, at least when it comes to weight. The king cobra still reigns as the longest venomous snake on record, measuring up to 18 to 19 feet. However, Laus is believed to have weighed between 15 and 20 pounds, significantly heavier than the largest kings. It was no slouch when it came to length either, measuring between 10 to 13 feet. Rukwanoka Holmani. It seems 2014 was a pretty big year for snake discoveries. The same year Laus was rediscovered, a group of scientists from Ohio University were making another landmark find in Africa. On the 19th of March 2014, Jacob McCartney and his research team were exploring and studying the Rukwa Rift Basin in Tanzania in a bid to understand the environmental changes of East African rift systems over time, until they stumbled upon something much more interesting: fossils of elapid snakes. Elapidae is a snake family made up of venomous snakes like cobras, taipans, mambas, kraits, and sea snakes. These animals employ deadly neurotoxins to paralyze prey. The fossils found were dated to at least 25 million years ago, much earlier than believed. Before this discovery, herpetologists believed that Africa was only home to buid, aka constrictor, snakes. It turns out that the section of the Rukwa Rift Basin they excavated yielded a 5:3 ratio of elapids to buids. McCartney would coin the genus term Rukwanoka after the Rift Basin and the Swahili word for snake. The species name Holmani is in honor of paleontologist J. Alam Holman. These snakes were around in the Oligocene epoch, which was from 34 to 23 million years ago. It suggested that the environment was open, warm, and dry enough to support the active foraging of venomous snakes. Modern species like black mambas and Egyptian cobras are high-energy serpents that actively pursue prey. Buid snakes, by comparison, are much more conservative with energy and tend to lie and wait for prey to come within striking distance. As for Rukwanoka Holmani, not much about its size and appearance is known. Fossils are incomplete at the moment, but future excavations should reveal what the snake was like and how widespread it was. Sanajeh. The late Cretaceous was a time when reptilian predators ruled the land, sea, and sky. Although dinosaurs were at the top of the global food chains, other reptiles were also staking their claims. The Sanajeh, an early constrictor that emerged in the Maastrichtian age around 72 to 66 million years ago, was making a living by robbing dino cradles. Sanajeh is a genus name under the extinct Matsoidae family. Sanajeh indicus is the only confirmed species. This 11-foot snake's fossils were first discovered outside the village of Doli Dungri in Gujarat, India. Its jungle environment and lineage as a constrictor almost certainly means it was an expert stealth killer that relied on camouflage and methodical movement. Curiously, the Sanajeh had a relatively narrow jaw gape for a constrictor its size. This means that it could not open its jaws as widely as many modern pythons and boas. This restriction stems from a jaw joint that was located beside the posterior margin of the brain case. However, its gape was more than sufficient for the small amphibians and mammalians it preyed upon. A Sanajeh fossil found at the Lametta Formation in 2010 also revealed another interesting aspect of its diet. The fossil was coiled around a sauropod hatchling that was about 19 inches long. This is evidence that the snake preyed on dinosaur nests for young and possibly eggs. It may have been able to crack eggs open and devour the contents rather than swallow whole shells. The Sanajeh is believed to have been the first snake to ever prey on dinosaurs. Its closest relatives were Wanambi and Yerlungur, fellow Matsoidae snakes from Australia. The Sanajeh was a decently sized snake, with a believed maximum weight of about 50 pounds. Palaeophis colossius. If the name Colossius doesn't give it away, we'll just tell you, this snake was massive. Palaeophis is the type of the genus Palaeophidae family of marine serpents. Colossius was the biggest of the lot, and is widely believed to have been the largest marine snake of all time. Most of what we know about this massive snake stems from fossilized vertebrae found in the Sahara Desert of Africa. Confused? Don't be. You see, during the late Cretaceous and all through the Eocene epoch, a time frame of about 100 to 50 million years ago, there was a shallow saltwater region called the Trans-Saharan Seaway. This region has since dried up and formed the desert we know today. However, during prehistory, the seaway was home to many monster mosasaurs, crocodiles, murderous whales, and colossal sea serpents. Palaeophis colossius lived and thrived alongside these massive beasts for millions of years, hunting fish, whales, crocs, and whatever else. Fossil records suggest the snake grew to exceed 30 feet, with some estimates placing it at 40 feet or more. For context, the reticulated python, the world's longest snake today, has a record length of 33 feet. Of course, given that mostly isolated vertebrae have been found in the underexplored oceans of the world, there is a possibility that Palaeophis colossius got much, much bigger. Heck, the snake might still be around for all we know. After all, we've only explored 5% of the world's oceans. Other Palaeophis fossils have been found as far north as Denmark and Western Europe, but these belong to smaller species such as Toliopicus. There is still much to be discovered about these wonderful snakes, but a lot can be inferred from backbones. For instance, the vertebrae show that these snakes had very high vascularity. This suggests that they had very high metabolisms and growth rates more commonly associated with warm-blooded animals. Gigantophis garstini, another behemoth. In fact, Gigantophis garstini is the second largest snake on record anywhere, ever. This megaconstrictor lived in the Eocene epoch, about 40 million years ago in what we call North Africa now. The first fossils were first documented in Algeria by Charles William Andrews in 1901. Gigantophis garstini is a member of the Matsoidae family, making it a distant relative of the Indian Sanajeh. The species name garstini is for Sir William Garstin, the former Undersecretary of State for Public Works in Egypt. The genus name Gigantophis is fairly self-explanatory. The term is Greek for big snake. The snake had similar proportions to modern constrictors like the African rock python, albeit significantly larger. Conservative length ranges are about 30.5 to 35.1 feet. More generous estimates suggest it could have reached 40 feet. The desert in which it was found could yet reveal more sizable specimens. It was large enough to swallow a man whole and likely preyed on a wide variety of creatures, including birds, crocodiles, lizards, and pretty much anything it could catch. The mammalian Moeritherium, an ancient ancestor of modern-day elephants, would have been a favored meal as well. Like most big snakes, a large meal would have been enough to keep Gigantophis sated for weeks or even months at a time. Like most prehistoric snake fossils, finds are partial and isolated vertebrae. Paleontologists working in Pakistan unearthed vertebrae believed to belong to Gigantophis garstini, but this is yet to be confirmed. Gigantophis was likely a terrestrial snake, but would also have been a competent swimmer if need be. Its tremendous bulk means it was an ambush predator rather than an active pursuer. Titanoboa, the undisputed overlord of the serpent realm. Titanoboa cerahonensis' discovery in 2009 was the moment Gigantophis lost its spot as the largest snake species ever documented. The snake was first unearthed in Colombia in the mines of Cerrejón, La Guajira. Again, there are no complete fossils, but what has been found is more than enough to paint a picture of a nightmarishly large titan. Titanoboa cerahonensis is a scaled-up, no pun intended, version of the boas and anacondas we know today. It is estimated to have measured between 40 to 50 feet in length. with a weight of around 1,500 pounds at least. For comparison, the green anaconda of today can reach a maximum weight of 500 pounds. This monster lurked in the swampy waters of the mid to late Paleocene, about 60 to 58 million years ago. They preyed on anything unfortunate to cross their paths, including crocodilians and turtles. The dinosaurs may have been wiped out, but Mother Nature certainly had an equally frightening beast ready to occupy the power vacuum in Central and South America. The snake's titanic bulk would have made it incredibly sluggish on land, but in the water, it would have been as graceful as a ballerina, armed with over 100 needle-sharp recurved teeth. The Titanoboa's strike was lightning quick and would have been more than enough to stun prey. However, it likely employed the signature coils of a merciless constrictor to crush prey into oblivion. Luckily, Titanoboas likely required a meal once every few months due to the bulk of their prey and their slow metabolisms. Today, you can visit Titanoboa fossils at the Florida Museum of Natural History.